Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Real Life Pastor. I am Jonathan, and I am a pastor in real life. Believe it or not, it is actually Christmas Eve out here today, so I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, Happy Boxing Day for all of my Canadian friends out there. I'm wearing a sweater right now, but I do not need to be. It is 60 degrees out here in Cincinnati, in Ohio. Here, you can't always count on a white Christmas. In fact, white Christmases tend to be rare around these parts, but you can always count on it being cold, and it is not cold. But anyway, for this episode, we are going to be talking about what's going to happen next. Now that I am without a church, what are the steps that I'm going to take or have taken to maybe get a new church, not get a new church, take a time for myself. We'll talk about all those things in this episode. But first, before we get to all of that, we have one very important thing that we have to do today before our Christmas Eve services, and that is I have to actually fix the plumbing upstairs. So last winter, we actually had one of our pipes burst upstairs, and we never got to fixing the bathroom. We repaired the pipe, obviously, when that happened, but nobody's ever upstairs because it's kind of our guest area, and we just haven't had anybody stay this year. So we haven't gotten to repairing the bathroom. What happened was when the pipe burst, it actually burst like underneath and kind of to the side of the bathtub. So I actually had to rip the whole bathtub out to be able to fix the pipe that was broken. So basically what we need to do now that my brother and his family are coming into town for Christmas is we need to repair and replace like a big chunk of the bathroom. And today we're going to start with the plumbing. We'll get to the meat of the video later, but for now, I got to go back to Home Depot to get one more thing, and then we will be back with replacing some PVC pipe and adding some PVC pipe and see what all we can get done today. So stay tuned. Okay, so the thing that I have to get, I just bought a reciprocating Ryobi saw, but didn't realize that it came without a battery. So like I said, we're going back to Home Depot right now to get the battery. But while we're on the way, it's just like a short 2-minute ride. I figured why not go ahead and just start talking about what's next for me. And the truth is that it's been over 3 months since I haven't been with my previous church. Again, all up to them. And, being a pastor is a little bit different. It's hard to talk about because when you're explaining like what you're going through, you feel a little, you feel like you're not being so humble. Because, in most other jobs, it's maybe hard to get the job, but it's not relatively that difficult to, go from one job, one company to the next company. Of course, there's personnel change. You got to get used to new personalities. But when you're a pastor going from one church to another, it's very difficult. You want to make sure that a lot of things line up. Again, it's a different type of job. You are literally in charge of the spiritual welfare of however many people are in this congregation. They are looking to you for spiritual guidance. They're looking for you when they're in their highest highs and their lowest lows. They're looking for you to tell them what the love and the life and the death and the resurrection and the teachings of Jesus Christ means for their life here and now. And so it's important that you find the right fit. And if you don't find the right fit, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to do more damage than good. A lot of things can go wrong if you're a pastor at a church that you should not be pastoring. You need to know who you are, or at least that's what I'm thinking. I need to know who I am, and I need to know who the church is. Now, a lot of people will say, does it really matter that much? Shouldn't you be the pastor that can pastor all people? Shouldn't the church be the church of all people? It's not that simple. If we're being honest with ourselves, there are obviously a ton of different flavors of churches, not just denominationally speaking, but within each church, they have their own value system. They have their own history. Is it a family church where people grew up and expect certain things? Is it a new church that expect these things? Is it a church that worships with a piano and an organ? Or is it a church that worships with the worship band and everything like that? there's a lot to consider, and the worst thing that you want to try to do is, fit yourself where you don't belong. Again, you can do a lot of damage, and a lot of damage has been done to churches that way. So when we're just talking about the topic of, just go get a new church, it's not that easy because you need to find the right fit again. But also, there are only so many church openings. There are only so many spots available. When you're driving around, you see churches everywhere, but a lot of pastors stick around for decades at a time. It's not like there's an abundance of pastor positions, especially when we're talking about denominational lines. And we're just talking about like first level stuff. We're just talking about the practicality of finding a new job. We're not even talking about the spiritual healing that I need to do, the amount of discernment and listening to God speak to me. What am I supposed to do next? That sort of thing. We haven't even discussed that part. This is just logistically speaking, it is not an easy thing. Let's go. Got it. All right, so now we're on our way home, and just to go back to speak more about the logistics of everything, again, I just want to hit again on the thought process that there really aren't that many jobs out there to begin with, and so you have to determine whether or not you want to move. Like those kind of things come into play. And if you are willing to move, how far are you willing to move? That kind of stuff all comes to play. That's the kind of stuff that happens anytime you might need a new job, not just with a pastor. But it's a pretty significant part of the decision-making process, again, just on the logistical level. Now, denominationally speaking, the denomination that I'm in is the United Church of Christ. There are some denominations that will actually place pastors, but that's not the case for the United Church of Christ. There is a search and call process, which is you basically get your name out there with a resume, essentially, and other churches can look for you, and you can look for other churches according to that sort of database system. It feels kind of weird to not be preparing for a Christmas Eve service. That's extraordinarily weird. The fact that I am just working on plumbing on Christmas Eve is just strange. It's just weird that I'm in a relaxed state of mind, not worrying about how this evening's going to go, if the readers are going to be there, if the music's going to be right, if a bunch of people show up or don't show up, what's going to happen. I've got none of that. And it makes me feel a little anxious. You would think that would like relax me, but now that I'm thinking about it, I miss it so much. But we're back, so here we go. All right, so I'll be honest with you. It's a bit of a mess in here. So what happened originally was when the pipe first busted, I did the hearing test, and I thought it was up here. It was not up here. It was down there, right? So I had to pull the whole bathtub out. So this is obviously a complete mess. I'm going to have to redo the tile. I'm going to have to redo the insulation. I obviously fixed the pipe, the original pipe. But the problem now is that when I pulled the bathtub out, and I did disconnect it. I don't even really know how this happened. It broke down there. The PVC pipe broke all the way down there. So the problem being is that, as you can see, it's basically connector to connector. It's like this is almost like a P-trap right here. So like it was a P-trap right here and then another P-trap right there. So it's pretty much impossible to cut and then connect back into here just because of the type of connector this is. Also talking about a space issue, I'd have to pull up or cut this board right here, which I could. But the easier fix that we're going to do is we're going to end up cutting right here. So we're going to cut right here is what we're going to do, and we're actually going to plug that. And instead of connecting to that stack right there, we're actually going to put 20 feet of PVC pipe all the way down into the basement. And then we're going to connect it down there. The good news is that the PVC pipe that was working with the bathtub, this is the drain, and then this is actually the overflow, is mostly intact. It broke down at the bottom. So we're just going to cut off at the bottom right there, and then we are going to attach it as is, because that's measuring that I don't have to do if I can salvage this. So I'm going to try. And here is the basement view of that hole. going all the way up past the first floor to the second floor. I don't know if I can get that to focus in to where it's going to connect to the upstairs. And then, so then once that comes down here, we're going to do a P-trap right here. Then we're going to cut this and do a Y split from the 1.5-inch pipe into this 3-inch pipe right here. Okay, so we are actually all the way down to the basement now. I apologize because it looks like a mess because I bought orange glue and purple primer because it's our favorite colors. So it looks like a disaster, but it's fine. Everything's set. What I'm going to have to do now is I'm going to actually attach this to the bathtub, even though I'm not done yet. So when I attach it to the stack down below and do the P-trap and everything like that, it will be where it needs to be, and I know exactly where I need to cut it. Okay, so we got the bathtub reassembled, kind of. Obviously, it's a disaster, but like I said, we needed to connect it just so we know exactly how long to cut it downstairs. So it's all hooked up, and then I'll show you what it looks like downstairs. All right, so this is what we got rocking downstairs. This is the pipe. This is the one that we're working on right here. Sorry, again, it looks gross, but we got colors. Anyway, so we got the P-trap hooked up. This is what Molly needed to help me with. She held this pole while I was gluing and whatever, making sure that was all secured. But this is a P-trap. If you don't know what this is actually to help eliminate house gases or like natural gases from coming into the house, because gases obviously go up. It kind of gets trapped all up in here, so it doesn't elevate up. So normally you have it a little bit closer to wherever you are working, but this is gonna work just fine. So now we gotta connect the P-trap with the Y. We're gonna cut right here. Let me show you what I got going on here. So this is what will connect the 1.5-inch to the 3-inch pipe. And as you can see, I got those little marks to where I'm gonna cut it, and we'll show you how that looks afterwards. And here's a problem we didn't foresee. Well, actually there's two. So I cut this exactly where I wanted it to. Measurements are right, but as soon as I cut it, this went backwards. So and I like tried with all my might. So this isn't like all the way in, which makes me a little concerned. I added extra glue around, but we'll just see how it goes. We'll see. But the second problem we have is, and this is probably totally my fault, is from the P-trap to our Y here, you see this goes this way, and that goes straight across. And I don't think PVC is gonna bend that much. So we might have to get one more connector. We'll see. So we're going back out one more time to Home Depot to get one last piece. One piece! That's the life of home ownership, I guess. We gotta get that Y connected to the P. Gotta get the Y to the P. Also, we might as well talk about the not logistical side of transferring or going to another church. Like I said in the video before, and I think I've said previously, there's you know, a void that I have to deal with, some wounds. There are some scratches and bumps and bruises I got along the way, and so I need some time to heal. I need some time to what we would call in the pastoral or seminarian world discernment. Discernment is just to think about, connect with God, listen in, just kind of see where God wants me to go from here. It's complicated, but for now I gotta go get that last piece. Okay, so hopefully that's our last trip to Home Depot. We gotta get this project finished and ready, start getting ready to go for a Christmas Eve service. Just kind of in summation of all my thoughts right here. The process of me getting a new church or not getting a new church is kind of twofold, in that I need a church that's ready for me, and I need to be ready for a church. I need a church where I can faithfully serve in a progressive mindset, or even help them on that journey if a church is willing to go down that path. I need a church that's not going to burn me out. That's one of my biggest concerns, is that I could go to any church And I know I could do good work. I know that I'll be doing God's work, but at what cost? Will I be burnt out by the time I'm 40? That's not something I want. And I need to be faithfully ready to serve a church. I need to take care of my wounds. I need to take care of the things that I'm dealing with personally. And I need to do some things on a personal level. It's kind of hard to explain what that even means. But as much as I want to jump back in a church gig right now, I know that I'm not ready for it. One prime example of that is that it has been 3 months. It's been over 3 months since I last had a pastor job, right? And it's been 3 months since all of this went down, right? And I've only been in a church twice, and both those times were to fill a pulpit. I have not gone to worship yet. Now, does that mean I want to leave ministry? Does that mean that I'm waning on the church? Does that mean I'm falling away from God and what God's calling me to do? No, but that just tells you kind of where the headspace I'm at is in right now, is that this Christmas Eve service tonight will be the first time I've worshiped. I've gone to a church in all of this time. And I think that's telling. I think that's telling for you, and that's telling for me to know where I'm at in this headspace. So I'm hoping that with this Christmas Eve service, that with this new beginning, as it were, with the life of Christ beginning in the calendar year, that maybe some healing can come from it, and I will truly be ready to move on. I think it's weird when I talk about moving on, because it has this connotation with it that I was hurt so badly. In some ways, yes, I was hurt, but I loved the people so much at my previous church. I loved my job of it. I loved my calling. And so more than pain, more than these wounds I'm talking about, it's just dealing with, again, that void, that loss. And there it is. Are we up to code? Probably absolutely not. Is this safe? Probably absolutely not. Good news is that this is just water going to the sewer. No pressure. Just the drain. So there it is. Isn't it pretty? I got some news for everybody. The good news is nothing's coming out of what I just fixed. I have no idea what is happening right now. It's all coming from over here. I told you this was the real life pastor.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see.